Hi crafty folks, Amy here with amyswares, and today I'm going to use a layered stencil and this color cube swatch sheet as my inspiration to pull together a fun just a note card for you. Now I picked out these smattering of colors from Catherine Pooler based on this color cube swatch sheet. This was my inspiration. Since there's 4 layers to the stencil that I'm going to use, I did pick colors that matched the color cube but would work within the parameter of those 4 layers. Now I did grab this aquatini that I thought I was going to use for the leaf layer, but I ended up not using that at all. So I did kind of stick to the card. Now this is a stencil from A Colorful Life Designs. It's an awesome layered mixed flowers stencil. There's 4 layers. I have some cardstock, and here is a photo of the finished card to show you the direction that we're headed. As you can see, I didn't end up using that teal, but I did pull out my little blending brushes from All To New, and I'm using my magnets to hold the stencils down on my magnetic glass mat from Glassboard Studios. So if you aren't familiar, these mats are amazing. They're great for stenciling and working on, and I do have a coupon as well. So I will link that information as well as all the other products in the video description box below if you expand and scroll down. Now I have this sped up because I'm not reinventing the wheel here. I'm just doing some simple ink blending, but I am using the yellow and orange together on one layer, and then I'm going to use the kind of corally pink and the darker pink together on the next layer. So that's how I was able to incorporate those 4 colors, and then the rest I'm going to do in that gorgeous blackjack, which is a really dark charcoal, almost black, but not quite black. So I'm starting with the lighter color of the 2. It's kind of corally colored. I believe it's Do-Si-Do. And then I will kind of go into the center of the blooms with Party Dress, just to kind of add some interest and also tie in that other color. So I'm getting some nice variation in color on the blooms between these 2 layers, and then the rest I will be able to pull together with the leaves and the little dots in the center of the flowers. So I'm just kind of cleaning up my work surface. I am working on a panel, so it's not a huge deal if I get some on the back of the card, but as you know, oftentimes I'm working directly on a card base, so I'm usually pretty careful in trying to not get ink on the back of my card. Now I'm going to work on this blackjack, and I figure out pretty quickly that it's quite it's not dry, but it's definitely not juicy. So it did take me a little bit longer to get all this down in the openings on these next 2 stencils. So you'll see in a moment I will kind of refill it and show you how I re-ink my mini ink pads. When I purchase these mini ink pads, I always purchase the refills along with it. Part of the reason, because these are foam ink pads, so they're really super juicy, but that also means that they can maybe go dry a little bit quicker than your felt pad ink pads. So here I'm just coming in with the little centers of the blooms to finish on this final layer, and then I will kind of refill that ink pad. So I'm just working through. These are really super easy to line up. You could absolutely like line these up in your stamp positioner or create some sort of guide, but honestly I was able to just eyeball it and figure out how to line these up. That's how easy it was. And you do also have the little etchings on the bottom of the stencil, which is really super helpful, from A Colorful Life Designs, where she puts the name, so then you know you're on the right side and the right orientation. So it makes it really super easy for these layered stencils. Now I'm adding a little optional extra step. I have a gel pen here just to add a little bit of highlights and some dots in the center of the blooms. Nothing too crazy here, but I feel like it added a little something extra to the design. So if you have a gel pen, think about different ways that you can kind of kick your cards up a notch. Otherwise, if you don't have one, I definitely recommend getting one just because they are so useful. So here I have my blackjack re-inker, and I'm just going to re-ink this real quick. I decided to leave this in just in case any of you were curious about re-inking. You can see it does kind of suck right into that foam, so I felt like it must have really needed it, even though I don't feel like I used that one that much. It must have dried out on me, I'm not sure, or maybe I have used it more than I realized. But anyway, I decided to cut down this panel. This is a wonky stitched rectangle die from My Favorite Things. If it's still available, I will link it below, but I'm going to use my favorite mint tape from scrapbook.com, and then I'm going to run this through off screen through my Spellbinders Platinum 6 to die cut that out. Now I have some 2-inch foam tape also from scrapbook.com, and I'm going to use 2 liberal pieces on the back and remove that backer and then pop it up directly on a card base. So I am working on 120 pound accent opaque, both for the panel as well as the card base. And this is US A2 size, 4 1/4 inches by 5.5. So it leaves just a little tiny white border. And then I just kind of come in and figure out how I'm going to finish the card. Now, right off the bat, this Just a Note kind of stood out at me. It was a nice black and white contrasty sort of sentiment. I'm flipping through just to make sure it's what I want to use, but this is my storage solution for my sentiments. I batch a bunch of die cut sentiments or stamped and die cut sentiments and have them ready to go. So that way it doesn't slow me down when I'm in the groove and kind of creating cards or even batching a bunch of cards. So these are baseball card pocket protector sheets. I was considering that Hello Friend as well, which would have worked, but as you saw in the photo, I did end up using that Just a Note. Now here I have some little foam dots from scrapbook.com. Now these are only 1 millimeter thick. So the foam that I use to pop up the panel is kind of the middle range. They've been carrying 1 millimeter, 2 millimeter, and 3 millimeter thick. The 2-inch foam tape that I used was 2 millimeter thick, and this is only 1 millimeter thick. So I didn't want it to stand up too high, so I decided to go with the 1 millimeter just to pop the sentiment up just a little bit, but not add too much height, so that it would still be easy to ship. So I put that on the back, and then here is a Wink of Stella brush pen. I'm just putting some glitter all over this sentiment just to kind of take it to the next level. The reason I think I opted to do this is because I had some liquid glue oozage, which y'all know I hate, but there was a little bit of dried glue that I could see from gluing down the white layer onto the black, and it bugged me because I don't like the oozage. So I'm kind of trying to mask it a little bit by putting this glittery goodness all over the entire thing on the black and on the white. Now to finish it off, I have my card bling. This is my beloved card bling, also from a Colorful Life Designs. It's kind of new to the shop, and look at all of these delicious colors. I can't even handle it, and this container that holds it perfectly, it just makes my heart very happy. So I will link the bling as well as the container as well below, but I did end up using this sunshine mix. It's this really pretty mix of yellows and kind of iridescent goodness that I felt worked really well with this design. So I'm just going to kind of pour some of these out and use a smattering on the front of the card. I have my Barely Arts liquid glue and my jewel picker tool, and then I'm going to put those down, 3 on one side, 2 on the other, and that is going to finish the design. So if you aren't familiar with the Colorful Life Designs, be sure to check it out. It's a small woman-owned business. She has thousands of the most beautiful stencils, and as you can see, this card bling and even some stamps too. So I have a coupon, AmyFan10. You can save on your complete order if you shop. And thanks for spending time with me. I'll catch you next time. Bye.